What did I just do? Oh, hello, Mr. Bailey. Just walk right through my shot. Hey guys, my name is Greg, and I am a actor and playwright and theater producer and lighting designer and director and nonprofit administrator. I also happen to own and operate multiple performing arts venues around town. A whole bunch of stuff. You know, it sounds pretentious as hell, but I call myself a creative multi-hyphenate. Basically, it saves me from doing a whole 10-minute long introduction with all the different things that I do. Anyway, right now I'm sure you're wondering what the big deal is with that Facebook event I just showed you. Well, it is currently July 28th, 2 o'clock in the morning on July 28th, because sleep is for the week. I have a reading scheduled for Sunday, August 16th at 4 p.m. local time for a draft of a play that's not written yet. Actually, I haven't even started, and I already have 33 people saying they're coming. Why would anybody do that to themselves? Well, let's get real for a minute. I know that I am not accountable enough to myself to be able to set a deadline by myself and hit it. So, the only option I have left is to raise the stakes, I suppose, and in order to do that sufficiently, I've decided that I need to risk potential public embarrassment and humiliation if I don't deliver. I have a little under 3 weeks to get it all done, and again, I haven't started this draft yet. But the good news is, based on the feedback I received after the first reading, the structure of the show itself is solid. It's got good bones, so to speak. A new draft, one that's not from scratch, totally doable by this deadline. I just have to write it. And in order to keep me honest and accountable, I'm bringing you guys along for the journey. So what's it about? Well, the name of the show is the Monstrodyssey. It's a portmanteau of Monstrodyssey. And basically it is Plato's Allegory of the Cave, as if it was written by JRR Tolkien and Alan Menken. Now, the allegory itself is a philosophical theory of perception and about achieving greater knowledge and understanding of the world around you. I'll get into more detail about the allegory itself in a future video, but in our story, the protagonists are a pair of monsters that live in an actual underground dungeon, the sepulcher. Is it sepulcher or sepulcher? Sepulcher? You know, if I'm going to call my setting this, I should probably understand how the hell it's pronounced. To the Googles. This is embarrassing.
Sepulcher.
Sepulcher. Sepulcher. So they live in a literal underground dungeon, the Sepulcher of Madness. The main characters are a goblin and a hobgoblin, Brick and Brack. Brick is sort of like Lenny from Of Mice and Men. He's big, he's hulking, he's not terribly right. He's about as smart as, well, his namesake. Brack, on the other hand, is a goblin. He's shifty, he's crafty, he likes to build these ridiculous Rube Goldberg death traps that never work. And they live in a dungeon in the middle of nowhere in this land called the Land of Nod. And their whole job is to defend the door to room 12.
Their only experience with surface dwellers are fighting off parties of adventurers. You know, basically heavily armed murder hobos, obsessed with ganking all the fat loots and the glory of leveling up.
And when our protagonists are exiled to the surface, a place no monster has ever returned from and lived to tell the tale, they discover that the surface world is nothing like what they imagined. And it's a musical. I think that this is a very timely story to explore. I think the Allegory of the Cave is one of these stories that opened my eyes to a lot of things about the experiences of others, about the importance of getting out and learning about the world in the light of knowledge, and exploring things and seeing things for what they are, not just for what you're told they are. Timely.
So I've talked about the what, the when, and the why. Let's talk about how.
What I'm going to be doing from here on out now is I'm going to actually chronicle the process of writing and developing this show and bring you guys along on the journey. First, I'm going to review the source material. I'm going to reread Plato's Republic and the Allegory of the Cave. I'm also going to reread the first draft and go over all of my notes and the feedback from the first reading. I'm going to choose what feedback I'm going to integrate into the show and figure out how best to implement it in a way that makes sense. I'm going to revise the story outline and the character description so I don't get lost when I'm doing deep dives into scenes. And I have to actually reorder the sequence of scenes in a few spots in order to make these revisions and these changes in motivation and character development make sense. Once all that's done, I'm going to start rewriting the script scene by scene. And of course, while I'm doing that, I've also got to finish organizing the reading. I'll assemble a cast, and I have to send personalized follow-ups to particular people whose feedback I value. I really want to make sure that they're there so they can hear it and they can help me out. I'm also going to shoot a couple more of these short videos while I'm at it, probably one a week for the next few weeks. Maybe I'll live stream a writing session while I'm writing. You guys can watch me sip coffee and eat bacon and stare at my screen and distract myself by playing Texas Hold'em and Idle Champions. Next week, I'm going to talk about the Allegory itself, how it inspired Mike and I to write this show, and why we think the time is right to revisit this particular bit of philosophy. The following week, I'm going to go behind the scenes on organizing the reading. You'll see me with my producer hat on. I'll introduce you to some of the readers. If I can get a minute with Mike, I'll have him jump on here as well. And after that, it'll be time for the reading itself. I will post the whole 2-hour-ish Zoom call on the channel here if anybody's interested in checking it out. Let me know in the comments. I just want to put it out there what it's like behind the scenes, trying to make all this stuff happen. So often people only get to see the finished product. You don't get to see the grueling, interesting, fascinating, painful, and joyful process that is creation. And if you've made it this far, thank you so much for sticking around. I hope you'll join me for the rest of this journey. Do me a favor and hit like if you enjoyed this video, then subscribe and hit that little bell that comes up next to it so you can know when the next episode drops. Until then, don't forget to wash your hands, and please, be a hero. Wear a mask when you go out in public. Thanks again. I'll see you next time.
Well, hello, sir. No? No kisses? No kisses.